In this podcast, I want to talk to you about making decisions based on inspiration and not desperation. I spent the last 14 years playing over 1,000 shows, touring 22 different countries, and become a top 40 Billboard charting artist. I fired my record label to go out on my own as an independent artist to market and release my own music, selling thousands of albums and millions of streams. The question I always get is, how did I do it without a label and sell even more music? This podcast is here to show you the way. Join me and follow along as I learn, apply, and share marketing strategies to grow my music business and a loyal fan base. Okay guys, so it's a snowstorm, just left the gym. Oh yeah, pumped it up. Arms are sore, pectorals are sore. The pear is slowly turning into, I don't know, something healthier looking. Anyways, so making decisions based on inspiration instead of desperation. What do I mean by that? Well, when you go to write a song, you wrote it because you were inspired, hopefully. And not because you were desperate, but because you were inspired. You wanted to write a love song, a party song, just whatever type of song it inspired you, right? And that's why we all got into this. We want to write songs, right? But when it comes to the business side of it, once I had quit my job, I kind of went from inspiration to desperation. Like all of a sudden I had to put food on the table, and I was doing that through music now. It wasn't through my job. And that put me in a really tricky position sometimes where I'm like taking any gig I can possibly get, no matter what the money is. Sometimes obviously there was limits or whatnot, but I was basically doing things because I was desperate. I was getting taken advantage of. I wasn't getting treated right. I wasn't always making the best decisions because they weren't based on me being inspired and what I want to do. It was like, I just got to put food on the table. I just got to keep this machine going, especially when all of a sudden I was bringing bandmates out. Like that was a whole other level. Like there was one part where I was just solo for a long time, and I could take care of me and my wife, and sometimes if I brought a DJ or a drummer, I was able to figure that out, kind of sustain ourselves to an extent. But honestly, I was on the treadmill of touring, and that was the only way I could survive because the label had owned all my records, so I wasn't getting barely any money there. They weren't hustling TV, film placements really. Radio was okay at the beginning, but honestly, it wasn't until Japan took off, and then kind of got some touring under my belt that things kind of sustained. But then all of a sudden I brought the band into play, and now I started the whirlwind all over again. And I remember like all of a sudden having to buy all this equipment, and okay, now you need a van and trailer, and now if we want to fly, it's tickets and baggage fees and just all this stuff that honestly I was not prepared for. And I think I share this in my fighter book that I remember the first or second night, I wasn't even used to sharing a hotel room with anyone. I was used to having my own. I had to share a hotel room, and the person wanted to put the TV on, and I was just like, I don't do that. I put on preaching and something inspirational. I really, as a leader, and just as a leader, I needed to stay inspired, pumped up. I don't fill myself up with just anything, And I remember just going down in the hotel and in the elevator, and honestly, at first, I was swearing. I remember just swearing and then praying and just God, this sucks. This effing sucks. That's literally, I think, what I was saying. I was just so upset, and this isn't what I signed up for. And honestly, we did that for at least another 2-3 years, from 2010. And honestly, those are some of my biggest years in some ways, but honestly, very hard because I was away from my wife, And it's an interesting thing when you're chasing your dream, you're sacrificing something else. And I think it was my buddy, Jeremy Pearsons, who said, Chris, be careful who you become in pursuit of what you want. And, when you're chasing that dream or whatever it is, make sure, it's inspiration. Make sure it's coming from God because, there's sacrifices and things. You don't want to sacrifice your marriage. You don't want to sacrifice your health. And honestly, I felt myself making decisions that weren't always the best, and based on fear. I made a lot of decisions also based on fear and lack, as opposed to looking at abundance and seeing what is possible. And so what I want you to take from all that is, get your money right as much as you can is one thing I'll say. Get reserves, stay out of debt as much as you can, especially consumer debt. If it's making you money on real estate, like, that's fine, you can write it off and whatnot, but I'd be very weary of taking debt out, definitely to tour or for a sound recording. I would never do that unless I knew it was a hit. The only time I ever stretched myself financially to record music was when I was working with my freaking hit maker, which he never ever let me down once. So there's proof there, okay? But honestly, stay out of freaking debt, because you don't need that pressure. Don't quit your job too early. I share in my fighter book how, I am very proud that I did quit my job and I stepped out and I worked my butt off. But, I wish I knew more about marketing. I wish I knew more about how the business works. I wish I had hired A players and worked with, better people. I could have fast-tracked, what it took me to accomplish in whatever many years, I could have done in a much shorter period of time. And I saw other artists that were way less talented get better opportunities just because they had a better team, just because they were working with different people. And, I was kind of like the nose to the grindstone, hustle it out. And honestly, that paid off for me in the long run, because I knew how to survive without a label. All these other acts did not know how to survive without a label. They didn't know how to, be self-starters. They could only kind of ride that little success wave, but they didn't know how to continue it. And the other thing is, a lot of people say, I know how to make money, but they don't know how to save money. They don't know how to keep money. They don't know how to invest money, and these are some things that, you really need to study and understand. And so, and I'm going to be putting out some training. I talk about some of the stuff in Fanbase University, of course. And if you haven't joined Fanbase University, seriously, you need to come hang out. If you want a whole hour plus of this, plus Q&A with me to ask me questions, for $40 a month plus all my courses, you're not going to get a better coaching deal than that. But seriously, I'm really excited for you. I think that, you just got a great year ahead of you. Don't give up. We always say a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits. And just think about the decisions you're making and what you really want, and go after it. Never take no for an answer. See how you can help people, how you can serve people. Don't go in the mentality of always, what can I get out of this? I promise you, when you look at how more you can serve people, and I mean even serve your fans, you're going to be in a much better place. Hey, don't forget to review and leave a comment, and never give up. Peace. So if you're a struggling artist and you're just trying to figure out this music industry, you want to go full-time with your music, you want to get noticed on social media, or learn how to launch an album, an EP, or just get your music more marketed out there, I want to encourage you to check out my coaching program called Fanbase University. Every single month, I jump on the phone 2 times with my students and I coach them and I teach them how to market their music, how to get noticed, how to handle booking agents, record labels, and just get their music out there. Also, you get access to exclusive training, you get interviews with music industry professionals. If you want to find out more and not do this on your own, not struggle, because I've wasted thousands of dollars on my career, and now I want to coach other artists. Check out my program, fanbaseuniversity.com, or click the link below to find out more info.